Tax season is upon us. Most Americans need to file their tax returns by April 15th. It hasn't changed, and it's complicated, but don't worry. We've got someone who can give you some very good advice.
Dan Geltrude is a certified public accountant and the author of the book, Positive Financial Karma. Dan, thanks for joining us. We want positive financial karma. So let's start off with maybe your financial karma is positive and you get a refund this year. What do you do with it?
Well, the first thing is, if you actually got a refund, you did it wrong. Why?
What?
Why?
You paid too much money during the year.
Yes, and you gave the government an interest-free loan. Right. So if you want to have positive financial karma related to helping the government, then so be it. But if you do have a refund, the main thing that you want to do is you want to put that refund to work for you once you get it back. I'd like to tell clients to say, listen, the first step is let's make sure that you have an emergency fund. I'd like to see clients having 6 to 9 months of a fallback just in case. After that, the main thing is let's take down high interest like credit card debt. That's one thing that you really don't want to be carrying. The other thing is set up some specific savings goals. Now you got this money. What is it that you can do with that money? And listen, another thing is charity. Always a great thing to do with your money, especially if you want to have positive financial karma, right?
Yeah. All right, so let's say you didn't give the government an interest-free loan throughout the course of the year, and now you do owe them money. What to do then? I mean, sometimes I sometimes feel that people aren't prepared to pay.
You can get sticker shock.
You can get sticker shock because you've got savings, or if you're living paycheck to paycheck, you're a young person out of school, you're paying your school debt down. How do you survive a big tax refund that you're not getting back, that you have to pay the government?
If you know that you're going to owe the government money, the first thing to keep in mind is that is not a reason to not file your tax return. So the first step is, or not pay, but the first step is to make sure that you always file your tax return. Now, you come into a situation where you realize you owe the government money. You have to find a way to pay that. You do not want to be taking loans from the government because they become very high interest rate loans.
Wait, you're saying that when the government says to you, you can pay us back in installments, you don't want to do that?
Well, that is an option that you can have. That's if you cut the deal with the government and you actually have a negotiated process. But if you don't do that and you just decide you're not going to pay and you're going to ride it out, in effect, ignore it perhaps, very bad because it's going to cost you a lot of interest. So what you want to do is make sure if you have to, you can borrow that money from family, friends, pay the government first. The government also allows for credit card payments. So if you're just short for a period of time, then use the credit card to get the payment to the government. Then, of course, we don't want to get in trouble with credit cards, so you want to get that debt down as quickly as you can. And then, to your point, Vlad, there is an option to negotiate with the government if you don't have the funds available where you can work out a preferable deal.
Don't just look at the envelope when it comes in and put it to the side and say, oh, I'll get back to that later.
Worst thing that you can do.
If I don't look, then it doesn't exist.
Right.
So what if, worst case scenario, you find yourself getting audited? How do you handle something like that?
Well, first, the good news. The audit lottery, as we call it, your chance of winning that is less than 1%. But if you are unlucky enough to win the audit lottery and you are selected, the first thing that you want to do is make sure that you have proper representation. Most people are not equipped to represent themselves in front of the IRS, so you want to make sure that you have the right representation. If you are going to represent yourself, there are a few things to keep in mind. First of all, there's nothing wrong with delaying the audit as long as you possibly can. The IRS is going to be dealing with a specific time frame which they have to get the audit done. 3 years from the time of filing. Otherwise, unless there's fraud, that window will close. So there's nothing wrong with having a delay, delay the process.
I wonder if that's what President Trump is doing. He always says,
I'm
under audit, I'm under audit. I wonder, like, if you have that option, you can delay it as long as you can.
Yeah.
He may be implementing that strategy.
Just 4 years. Just 4 years.
Exactly. Exactly.
The next thing to think about is where the audit takes place. The one thing that you don't want to have happen is inviting the IRS into your home or your business. You want to kind of have a neutral site. preferably whoever is representing you. You want to take that process and put it outside of your office. And then, look, ultimately, you don't want to give the IRS more information than necessary. You give them what they want, but nothing more. And then if you don't like the outcome, you always have the option for an appeal.
Oh, those are good tips.
Those very good
news
tips.
You can use. Positive financial karma. I like it, Dan.
Yeah, you can buy the book wherever books are sold. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.